You wake up tired, and it's not because you didn't sleep. It's because your mind has been fighting invisible battles since the moment you opened your eyes. Notifications, expectations, unspoken pressure, random mental tabs you never closed from yesterday, and before your day even begins, you're already drained. It's not your schedule. It's not your job. It's not even other people. It's the constant erosion of your energy by things you never chose to give it to. You're leaking. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And if you don't become intentional about protecting your energy, you'll keep showing up for the world while disappearing from yourself. This is why the Stoics trained differently. They didn't just manage time, they managed attention, because they knew that what you give energy to, you give life to, and what drains you quietly will eventually destroy you loudly. They had rules, not to make life rigid, but to keep their peace non-negotiable. We're going to break down 5 of those rules, and if you live them, not just hear them, you'll move through the noise untouched. You'll stop giving power to things that don't build you, and you'll remember what it feels like to have energy that actually feeds you again. Your phone lights up. You reach for it without thinking. Someone makes a passive comment. You craft a full argument in your head without ever speaking. A thought pops up at 2 a.m. Now you're wide awake, planning for a future that doesn't exist, or regretting a past you can't reach. That's how energy disappears, not through crisis, but through tiny, unfiltered decisions. You think you're just being responsive, but you're actually bleeding slowly. Every pull you respond to has a cost. Some are worth it, most are not. And if you never stop to ask, does this deserve my reaction? Then your energy doesn't belong to you anymore. It belongs to the world. The Stoics didn't operate like that. They didn't let impulse dictate behavior. They didn't let every thought become action. They didn't react just because something wanted their energy. They paused. They observed. They chose. Epictetus said, "If you are disturbed, it is not by things, but by your opinion about them." Translation: most things only drain you because you give them permission. So here's rule 1. Don't engage everything that calls your name. If it's not yours to fix, don't fix it. If it's not worth your peace, don't entertain it. If it's not aligned with who you're becoming, don't give it life. This isn't avoidance, it's energy management. And that's how warriors protect their edge. Rule number 2. Guard your inner circle like a fortress. Not everyone deserves access to the parts of you that cost the most to build. Some people don't steal your peace with noise. They do it with presence. They show up in your life. And without ever shouting, without ever attacking, they pull on you. They plant doubt. They carry chaos. They normalize inconsistency, and slowly, your standards drop to match their comfort zone. You think you're being kind. You think you're being available. But what you're really doing is paying a mental tax for someone else's decisions. Energy isn't just drained by what you do. It's drained by who you allow close. If your circle isn't helping you stay clear, it's making you cloudy. And the Stoics understood this long before it became a self-help slogan. They weren't cold. They were selective. They didn't let everyone into their space. They didn't offer their mind to people who hadn't earned trust. They didn't water relationships that made them shrink. This isn't about cutting everyone off. It's about knowing that peace is expensive, and if you don't guard it, someone else will spend it for you. You don't have to be surrounded by loud, toxic people to lose your energy. Sometimes it's the quiet ones, the ones who constantly need you, but never feed you, the ones who don't challenge your growth, because your stagnation makes them more comfortable, and you tell yourself, I don't want to hurt them. I've known them since forever. They mean well. But here's the hard truth. You're allowed to outgrow people who refuse to grow. You're allowed to protect your focus from people who trade in drama. You're allowed to say, not everyone gets access to my peace anymore. Think of your energy like a protected city. Every person who enters either brings value or they bring damage. And if you're not guarding the gate, you'll let in people who don't just take space, they reshape you. Suddenly, your standards start to drop, your routines start to break, your clarity starts to dim. Why? Not because you changed, but because you stayed too close to people who never did. Setting boundaries isn't harsh. What's harsh is what happens when you don't. The resentment, the hidden exhaustion, the quiet erosion of your potential, all because you wouldn't say, this energy isn't helping me build anything. You're not obligated to remain accessible to people who make your mind heavier. That's not compassion. That's self-sabotage dressed up as loyalty. So here's the challenge. Audit your access list. Ask yourself, 1. Who leaves me feeling smaller every time we speak? 2. Who consistently brings confusion instead of clarity? 3. Who would be offended by me growing? Those are signals, and when you feel them, don't explain, don't argue, just adjust the distance, and let silence handle the rest, because peace isn't just a vibe, it's a boundary you defend, or else you lose it. Rule number 3. Master the pause before you react. Your energy isn't just drained by others. It's drained by how you respond to them. You read something that hits wrong, your chest tightens, your brain starts crafting a comeback, and before you even blink, you've typed out a reply, deleted it, retyped it, and you're still mad. That's not just emotion, that's leakage. Because every moment you spend reacting, you're handing over control, not just of your behavior, but of your attention, your mood. Most people think discipline is about doing hard things, but one of the hardest things you'll ever do? Pause. Not forever, just for a moment, long enough to ask, what's the consequence of reacting from this state of mind? That question alone has the power to save your reputation, your relationships, and your energy. And here's what makes it tricky. Your brain doesn't like space. It wants resolution. It wants to feel something now, even if it means sabotaging your peace. That's why the pause is so powerful, because it interrupts the impulse. It opens a gap between trigger and choice. And in that gap, you remember, you're not just allowed to pause, you're responsible for it. Most people aren't overwhelmed because of what's happening. They're overwhelmed because of how fast they respond to it. There's no filter, no space, no discipline, just a trigger. Then boom, emotion takes the wheel. And every time that happens, you lose a little more clarity, a little more peace, a little more control over your own story. Reactivity is cheap. It costs nothing to be offended. It takes no strength to snap. Anyone can hit send when their ego is bruised. But pause? Pause is premium. Pause requires you to lead you, to breathe instead of bite, to hold instead of explode, to observe instead of attack. Here's a ritual you can use. Next time you feel the wave hit, pause for 3 full seconds, breathe in, drop your shoulders, ask, will this matter tomorrow? Then decide. It sounds small, but in that space, you reclaim authority over your nervous system, and suddenly, you're not at the mercy of the moment. That's energy protection, not isolation, not silence, not avoidance, clarity. Because when you stop reacting to everything that pokes at you, you don't become passive, you become undisturbed. And that stillness, that's what makes people lean in when you finally do speak. Rule number 4. Don't let distractions cost you your depth. The world is loud. You have to choose to hear yourself. You're not just overstimulated, you're overconnected, overinformed, overcommit. Every 5 minutes, something's asking for your attention, a message, a ping, a screen, a half-open tab that never gets closed. On the surface, it looks like you're staying in the loop. But underneath, you're losing your depth, you're trading stillness for noise, you're busy, but hollow. This is how most people live now. Always reacting, never reflecting, always updating, never anchoring. And the wild part? They don't even notice what they've lost until the silence feels uncomfortable, until focus feels impossible, until they can't remember the last time they finished a thought that wasn't interrupted. Distraction doesn't just waste time. It erodes identity, because you can't know who you are when your attention is always fragmented. You need slowness, you need stillness, not because it's trendy, but because depth is where direction comes from. And if you can't go deep, you can't go far. You're not here to consume every piece of content. You're here to create something real with your time and attention. But that only happens when you reclaim your focus. And that starts with quiet rebellion. You don't need to delete the world. You just need to build space inside it. Here's how. 1. Start your day without input. No scrolling, no checking. Just sit, breathe, anchor. You'd be shocked what returns to you when you don't drown it in noise. Point 2. Batch your distractions. Don't give them open access. Check messages once or twice. Not every time you feel bored or uncertain. 3. Block sacred time for depth. 30 minutes, 1 hour, no interruptions, no tabs, no apologies. You don't owe anyone constant access, but you owe yourself the space to go deep enough to know what you truly think, feel, and want. You think you're tired? Check how often your brain is switching between tasks. Check how many opinions you absorbed that you didn't even ask for. This is the quiet energy leak no one talks about. When you're always available to everything, you become unavailable to yourself. So here's the challenge. Today, choose silence. Not all day, just long enough to hear your own thoughts clearly. Because clarity doesn't scream, it whispers. And if you don't protect the space to listen, you'll live your whole life following someone else's noise. Let's be honest. You can't do everything. You can't care about everything. You can't fight every battle, answer every DM, chase every opportunity. But most people live like they can. They pour their fire into everything, and then wonder why nothing grows. And that's the quiet tragedy. You weren't defeated. You just got scattered. You don't burn out because you're weak. You burn out because your energy has no filter. You give the same emotional weight to a one-line comment from someone who doesn't matter as you do to a real conversation with someone who does. The same mental load to drama as you do to your discipline. And eventually, the fire that should be fueling your becoming is now just keeping other people warm. That's not strength. That's misdirection. So, here's the shift. Stop trying to do more. Start deciding what actually deserves your energy. Your fire is sacred. It was meant to build something, not just survive everything. Let me ask you something raw. What have you been giving full emotional fire to that hasn't actually earned your attention? Think about it. A passive comment, a tiny failure, someone else's expectation, a deadline that isn't aligned with your goals, a pressure that's more social than personal. You gave it heat. You fed it. You burned for it. And what did it return? Exactly. You've only got so much fire in you. And if you waste it trying to light up everything, you'll dim before the real work even starts. You can't fight every battle. You can't respond to every opinion. You can't burn for everyone else and still expect to have energy left to build your own life. This isn't selfish. It's surgical. So, how do you know what deserves your fire? Here's a simple filter. 1. Does this move me toward the person I'm becoming? If yes, fuel it. If not, starve it. 2. Will this matter in a year? If it's not long-term important, it's short-term noise. 3. Is this fire being used to create or to cope? A lot of people burn brightly for things that just keep them distracted. Answer honestly, and let it shape your day. You don't owe your fire to everything that frustrates you. You owe it to the things that form you. When you stop scattering your energy, you start stepping into your strength. Because the truth is, some things are worthy of your fire, but most things are only worthy of your silence. And it takes real power to know the difference. So here's how you close this out. Today, pick one thing that deserves your energy, just one, and give it your full presence. No guilt, no split focus, no second guessing, and everything else? Let it burn without you. Final recap of the 5 Stoic rules to protect your energy. 1. Don't respond to every pull. Not all noise deserves your attention. Point 2. Guard your circle. Peace costs too much to share with chaos. Point 3. Master the pause. Reaction is a leak. Restraint is a shield. Point 4. Protect your depth. Distraction is the death of clarity. Point 5. Decide what deserves the fire. Focus is your superpower. If this message grounded you, don't rush out of it. Let it settle. Sit with the one rule that hits hardest. Then ask yourself, where is my energy leaking? And who am I when I protect it? Because the world will keep asking, but your strength starts when you stop answering everything. For more videos like this, subscribe and turn on notification for this channel.